This Fleet Equipment Unscripted interview is presented by Hendrickson, a leading manufacturer of heavy-duty suspension systems and components to the global commercial transportation industry. Visit hendrickson-intl.com to learn more.
Hey everyone, I'm Jason Morgan, Content Director for Fleet Equipment, and welcome to Fleet Equipment Unscripted. Today we're talking with Nils Jaeger, Head of Volvo Autonomous Solutions. Nils, thanks for taking the time. Great to talk with you.
Thanks for being on the show, Jason. Appreciate it.
So we're diving into autonomous operations, and I'm excited to do this because I think it's really becoming a reality, right? You already have trucks and testing operations with carriers like DHL. There's safety drivers involved. You're really gathering a lot of intelligence there into how these applications work. So let's dive in there. What does it take to make autonomous trucking viable at scale? Infrastructure, services, operational support. What are you seeing at this moment?
Yeah, thanks a lot. That's a great question. I mean, first of all, to make autonomous trucking viable at scale, of course, you need safe technology, but you also need regulation. You need to have society buy-in, and then, of course, you need to have the ability for mass production. But first and foremost, what we believe is required, it's important to have the understanding that autonomous trucks are not just replacing normal trucks. What we are providing is a new transport system, an autonomous transport system. And for that, of course, you need to have the autonomy-enabled truck. You need to have the virtual driver. Of course, you need to have uptime services. You need to have a fleet management solutions. And then you need terminals. And then, those terminals need to be operated. So you need to have this operations part. So it's those 6 elements together which then form what we call the new autonomous transport ecosystem. And we're heavily, engaged in developing that. We have developed it for some part of the geography of the Sun Belt, but of course our job is to expand that further out. And not only that, it's of course also that we need to take the next big thing for us together with our technology partner Aurora, and that is to remove the safety driver to then really enable all the benefits from autonomous transportation.
Okay, very interesting. I do want to dig into that a little bit because I really want to make sure we hit the what you mentioned about the change in operation, the change in trucking, the change in fleet mindsets, right? It's not a one-for-one replacement. I think that's a super interesting point. In that kind of regard, in that frame of mind, are there any milestones or deployments or advancements that you've already seen really good progress on, or that we can expect coming this year as you work through this?
Yeah, I mean, we continue, of course, to increase the freight, which we're doing today with safety drivers. So we want to have more utilization of our introduction fleet of autonomous trucks, even if they're operated with safety drivers. We have to do more validation. We want to grow in the ODD capability. So we basically want to grow in the environment we can operate. And of course, we have to do more steps to expand our ecosystem. And when we speak about the ecosystem, that's something where we said, we don't have to do everything alone. That's also where we bring partners in. So when we speak about terminals, we have today 4 together with Aurora, but we know in order to grow, to grow the network across the Sun Belt, to start thinking about first, we need to add a certain amount of terminals. This is something where we said, okay, we can work with the Volvo dealers together, but we can also bring in professional real estate players, which are, in this game, so to speak, and which know how to build, have an interest to build, and then you can work with others who are operating those.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned the safety driver here a couple times, and earlier you mentioned moving toward removing the safety driver. Correct me if I'm wrong here. My understanding, the safety driver is there. The truck is operating autonomously, right? When it's going down the highway, it's operating autonomously. The safety driver is just there to be able to intervene in the case that is needed. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's where we are today with Aurora when we operate our trucks. I can say from the working together with Aurora that the interventions are at absolutely minimum level, and it's more that maybe our infrastructure in the sense of terminals is not yet complete. That's why we need to have certain interactions of safety drivers.
Right. So then you mentioned removing the safety drivers, which would be removing them from that function in the vehicle. Do you see that as being important to being able to deliver this on scale? Is that what customers are really asking for, of being able to remove that safety driver?
Yeah, removing the safety driver is, of course, a crucial element, because if you look today at the total cost of ownership, or if you look about what's the cost of running a truck, and what is the element the driver has in the cost of trucking per mile, then removing or taking out the driver is, of course, a big component. Something like 40% of the cost is driven by the driver, and to do that is then, of course, when you do that, that's when you really make the economics work.
You've touched here on some of the regions. You mentioned the Sun Belt. Texas, obviously a hotbed for a lot of autonomous truck development right now. What kind of regions and routes are you looking for in those early adoption phases when this is ready for the market?
Yeah, we have we're focusing as we speak very much on Texas. I mean, and then of course we will first go west, and then we'll go east before we go north. So it will be the Sun Belt which we will have to focus on in the first years. We have today, we operate over two terminals at the moment, but we have 4 in place. So we have 2 in the Dallas region, 1 in Dallas, 1 in Fort Worth, but then also Houston and El Paso. And that's where it will start. But also, Texas, if you think about it, that is the state with the highest freight volume, so it makes a lot of sense to be there. But Texas is also a state where you have, a very rather stable weather pattern, which is helpful for us as we enter into this new technology and bring that to market. And then not only in Texas, but also in Texas, you have the required regulation.
Right. Going into kind of the evolution that this could bring to the industry and to fleets, right? I think all of our jobs are shifting, right? Clearly what I do now is not what I did 10 years ago, not even like 5 years ago, in some cases not even 3 months ago, with some of the way technology impacts, I think, everyone's lives. In terms of autonomous vehicles, we have truck drivers, we have logistics personnel. How are those roles evolving, and or new roles emerging as you work with your partners to figure this out?
Yeah, thank you. Good question. I mean, first of all, we're not there to replace truck drivers. What we're offering is complementary. There is a shortage of truck drivers today, and we're responding to that by introducing a new freight system, an autonomous freight system. But this autonomous freight system has then other requirements. I mentioned the terminals. I mentioned the fact that you need to operate these terminals. But I also mentioned the uptime services, and that's quite an important point. The requirements for uptime increase significantly for an autonomous truck. Every time a truck leaves, you do a pre-trip inspection, and for that you need certified people. So that is these are new roles which will develop, and where will be more and more demand coming over time. Which will be interesting and interesting roles and jobs for the future. But then, of course, you have existing roles which will continue. The dispatching and the load consolidation and all of that will be important as it is today. But then, when you think about the ongoing development efforts of autonomous technology, on the one side, for the virtual driver companies, that will continue for quite some time. We're operating now in a certain environment. However, we want to be able to deploy autonomous trucking also in more demanding weather environments where you have more rain, more and so on. So more different environment or difficult environments than we will start with in Texas. But then also on the OEM side for us, the development of trucks never stops, and now we're adding an additional element to it. To develop a truck with redundancy is a much bigger undertaking than a standard truck. So, and that development, will continue. So I think as we speak about this, as it's a new transport ecosystem, there will be new roles, new requirements, new capabilities, which will be developed. But again, it's not really for us to say that we will replace the human truck driver. we will only fill an existing gap which exists today.
Okay. So as you mentioned, sorry, I think it's finally sinking in even with me, a new logistics sector, transportation, even business, right? So do you see this as, is this, right, back to your point, not every fleet is going to be able to make this work, or maybe that's not even the question, and the question is, what is the application that these are going to work in, and is it a traditional fleet that can invest in this, or is it a new type of business company that can achieve autonomous freight delivery? You mentioned one of those things that sticks out to me. You mentioned the locations, you mentioned real estate, you mentioned those hub developments. How much do those play a role in being able to make this work? I think that's kind of a new thing for me to hear as well.
Yeah. So this terminals play rather an important role, particularly I think in the first years of deployment of autonomous technology. Those terminals are placed or need to be placed strategically in a good way. So they have to be right next to the highway. The objective of the terminal is that you, from the terminal, can access in a very short way directly the highway. So you're not going through whatever suburbs, industrial areas, surface roads. You really want to ensure that the organizational or the environment in which the trucks are operating is as less complicated as possible. So if you're able to bring the trucks from the terminal right on the highway, then you actually are easing the business case, or you're easing the technology demands on an autonomous truck. So that will drive the adoption and the speed of when we can introduce autonomous trucking. That's the purpose of these terminals. But when you have these terminals, you can also use them, of course, for other reasons like load consolidation and so on. But the objective, particularly for the first years, is that you operate between those hubs, and then you have afterwards another delivery run non-autonomous to the whatever nearest whatever it is where you deliver the goods to.
Right. Very interesting. I think maybe even for me in my case, right, we've talked so long about autonomous vehicles, and it seems, it's been talked about as a one-for-one replacement type thing. But as we've seen with some other vehicle technology here in the past couple of years, I think about EV adoption specifically, where you have to look at it in a different way. You have to look at it holistically. Your trade cycles are different. Your fuel type is different. Your service cycles are different. And you just have to think about it in that new way, not just, I'll swap one for one, right? I have to get my arms around my whole operation. What am I trying to do? And then how do I make it as efficient as possible? Just kind of an interesting aside there.
But you asked also, so for whom is that? And of course, initially, we work now with DHL, we work with Uber Freight, so with the big players. But I mean, this will eventually, of course, become a much bigger opportunity, and the customers will grow much beyond that. But it is of course, a crucial way of transporting goods over longer distances. So long haul is really where the advantage comes in. I think any autonomous system you can think of, the longer hours you use it, or the longer the distances, the more the benefits of autonomy comes in. If you think about today, and if you look at coast to coast transportation from east to west in the US, if you do that with a standard truck versus with an autonomous truck, you of course gain a lot of time, because you don't have these breaks which you need and stops which you need to have with a human driver. So the speed you gain in delivery time is of course a crucial value also, which one must have in mind. It's not just that you're addressing the gap of human truck drivers. It's also that you bring additional values. You can be more predictable. You can also achieve a much better fuel efficiency, because those trucks can run in a way that you really make best use of the engine, etc.
Right. Fueling as well? Are you looking into then fueling too? Because that was an interesting thing too. When you don't have to stop the truck, you don't have to stop the truck. Coast to coast, you could keep going. Fuel plays a role in that. Then do you look at infrastructure for that as well?
Yeah, I think at the beginning we will not consider that. I think that's something where we have to, find ways that we use existing terminals or terminals on the way, where we can then add the fueling. But we don't have yet, an automated fueling process in mind, if that's the question.
Right. No, interesting. Okay, so what we do have to talk about, because it is critical to this technology, is safety, and I know it's a pillar at Volvo, perhaps one of the most important pillars. So, two questions on that: what are the safety protocols in place in terms of the technology and the system, and then what do you see to this meaning to on-road safety overall?
Yeah, you're right. Safety is crucial, and that's of course something the Volvo Group Volvo is known for as a brand, and we take that extremely serious. So what we have developed, when we say we have developed the autonomous VNL, which is the flagship truck of the Volvo Group, then we have basically built a truck which comes with redundancy. So in a normal truck, you have one brake which you can use. In an autonomous truck, you always have a second brake. So you have redundancy in braking, you have it in steering, you have it in communication, you have it in computation, you have it in vehicle motion management. But you also have, something like redundant lights, you have redundant power, you have redundant energy storage. And you have also redundancy for the autonomous driving system, so you have a failback system for that too. And that is important, that if one system fails, you always have another one which you can actuate. And that, of course, is the key safety element for an autonomous or for a redundant truck. In case one system fails, there's always a backup in place, and that, of course, is something which makes the whole solution, of course, much more safe than anything else. You couldn't do it without it. But the safety, of course, goes further. You also need to have, of course, all the safety elements in the virtual driver technology. But I leave that more to our partners to represent that and to explain that. But of course, Volvo Group plays a very important role in also understanding that and defining that and ensuring that the standards implied are the ones which we deem as necessary and required. No truck should be out there less safe than a human driver. But the safety aspect should go further. I talked about the terminals, and the safety in these terminals is something which we also consider. That's maybe more the standard workplace safety, but it is something we take serious, and we say if we want to have a safe solution, then it has the safety needs to start from where the truck starts and where the truck ends, and that includes the terminals, and it's not only when the truck is on the way.
Nils, I appreciate you taking the time. Wonderful to talk with you. Very interesting. I look forward to talking to you even more as this comes closer to reality.
Thanks a lot, Jason. It was a pleasure to talk to you.